We all know that the more information you give Google about your web page, the more likely it is to show up in relevant search queries. But what if you have a video page? Let's talk about the various pieces of metadata you can add to your video page so that it shows up in search results. I'm going to take a three-step approach to this. First, nail the basics. Second, add structured data. Third, see if it worked. Here I have a web page with one of my favorite videos. Google needs to know what this web page is about. So I've built this basic page in Astro. It takes an asset ID, looks up the playback ID using the Mux client, and then uses the Mux player to play that video. Right now, Google knows nothing about this video, so we need to tell it using good HTML. For example, a good header. Let's call this video Disco Dogs. This H1 might not be enough, so let's add some basic meta tags. Title, Disco Dogs. I like that title. Const, description. What if dogs but disco? Because this is Astro, everything in these little what they call code fences is going to run on the server, and this HTML is going to get sent to the client. This fragment here corresponds to my layout, and in my layout, that fragment gets inserted here at the head. So everything that I add here to this fragment will be added to the head of my web page. Let's add a couple basic meta tags to my head. Web pages should always have a title. I'm going to use the curly brackets to access that JavaScript variable. And web pages should always have a description. This title and this description show up in search results like this. You can see the title of the page and the description of the page. But how do you get this interesting video preview in your search results? For that, we're going to have to move to step 2. Let's add some structured data to our page so that Google knows that this is a video page and it can show video results like this. What is structured data? Google can figure out a lot about your page by reading the headers and paragraphs and metadata tags like we mentioned before. However, if you want to tell Google about the rich content on your page, for example videos, then you can add structured data to describe that rich content. In this case, we want to add structured data that contains a video object, a clip, or a broadcast event. These are the types of videos that Google understands. And what does structured data look like? Structured data is a piece of stringified JSON that you add in a script tag to your page. Here's some of the things we can tell Google about our video. In addition to the name and description, which we've already done in meta tags, we can add more complex features like thumbnail or a direct link to the content, or even interaction statistics like how much people have watched. Let's add some basic structured data to our page. I really like using this library called schema-dts. This will give me TypeScript types for any structured data that I'm adding to my page. And from schema-dts, I'm going to need the video object and with context. I'm also going to need format ISO duration from one of my favorite libraries, date functions. One more thing. Before we write our structured data, I'm going to need a little bit more information from this Mux asset. I'm going to need to know when the video is created, how long it is, and how wide and how tall it is. Here's the structured data I've already prepared. We've got a couple required properties. The first, all structured data begins with this context, which tells Google how it can interpret the object. Next, what type of object it is. Finally, 3 things about the video: the title, the thumbnail, and when it was uploaded. With the Mux Image API and the playback ID, we can get the thumbnail. Meanwhile, to get the upload date, we parse this Unix timestamp and convert it to an ISO string. There are also all sorts of optional fields we can add to a video object. Here, we add the description that we defined up above, a direct link to the content. In Mux, that's stream.mux.com with the playback ID, and the M3U8 playlist. And finally, we use date functions to format our duration, like video objects expect. There is so much more we could add to this video object. In addition to reading the Google Docs, we can also look in the TypeScript types from schema-dts to take a look at the things we can add. If it's a movie or TV show, we can talk about the actors. We can talk about the captions that we have in the video, music, thumbnails, transcripts, and so much more. One last thing, how do we actually put this video object into our page? As we saw back on Google, we have to add it as a script of type application LD JSON. In Astro, here's what that looks like. In order for this script tag to work in Astro, we have to add a couple extra characteristics that weren't in our Google example. Here we have to tell it that it's inline script, and we also set the HTML using the setHTML tag, and we stringify our object from earlier. Let's go back to our web page and see if it worked. We've got a title, we've got a description, and as expected, here is our LD JSON with all of the characteristics that we expected. Because I added this LD JSON, this video is now eligible to be added as a rich result in Google, which means that you can have video results like this. The last thing about optimizing your page for Google search is to just make sure it worked. Google Search Console will tell you what videos Google has found on your page, and more importantly, if those videos have any issues. After you fix those issues, you can use Google Search Console to tell Google to check your page again. There you have it. That's how you tell Google more about your video page. To learn more about this, we've got loads of fantastic resources in the description below. As always, for more on video development, stay tuned to the Mux Informational.